Okay, guys, we're through the second knockout round, so that's good, but it was very unconvincing, okay? Not too happy with that performance, and we do need to step things up because it's a Conference League final rematch. Brighton beat us last season. It's time for us to try and get some revenge, okay? So let's try and step things up because I've still got 10 million transfer budget left to spend, okay? So if you don't perform, I'm going to have to think about a few things, okay? So let's get some revenge, boys. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 81 of Husavik Heroes here on Shaun Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up in today's episode it's the second knockout round of the Europa League and it's a Conference League final rematch from last season as we take on Brighton, this time over two legs in the Seagull Derby. So if you are looking forward to today's episode, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But as I said, it's the Seagull Derby, of course, Völsungur being from Husavik, where the Eurovision Netflix movie came from. Lots of seagull references in the My Hometown song, and today we are taking on Brighton, whose logo is a seagull, so I think that's a good name for this little derby that we're starting to get going against these guys over the past few European seasons. As mentioned before, these guys did unfortunately beat us in last year's Conference League final, and we do meet them again off the back of a scratchy performance against Basel in the first knockout round yesterday. If you missed that episode, I'll leave a link to that over in the top right corner. Still getting that finger pointing sorted out now that I'm over in the left hand corner, but their team looks fairly similar to the one that we did take on last season. Not too many changes, if any. They do seem to be missing Tariq Lamptey at the moment, but apart from that, it does still look like a pretty good team, one that's quite a bit stronger than ours. They would have had more money to invest in us since we last met as well, so this is going to be tough for us against Allegri's Brighton, even though they are struggling just a little bit more than they were last season in the Premier League. We have played one game since the end of yesterday's episode. It was in the Europa. It was a game where we could secure our spot through to the semi-finals if we did beat Keflavik. And we'll show you guys the highlights of this one because it was a very topsy-turvy game. We were away from home, got off to a decent start here at the 10-minute mark. Nice ball there from Ainscough for Chaka Traore, slots that away in the right-hand corner to put us 1-0 up. But about 15 minutes later, they did equalise, did Keflavik. They put a ball in there at the far post, and Goodmanson somehow gets that past Ivkovic in goal and makes it 1-1. But then only a few minutes before half-time, Chaka Traore in behind the defence yet again slots Ainscough through, so opposite from the first goal that we scored, tucks it away in the top left corner. We were 2-1 up at half-time and for most of the second half, but then with 1 minute left, it was a goal there for Agilson. He was offside there from the original pass, but the slide tackle from Afosu did play him onside, so that is why that goal stood. But thankfully, in the 94th minute, Musi Martins just robs Keflavik of the ball, beats the goalkeeper there at his near post, and we do pick up a 3-2 win. Another win that was quite scratchy from us, but we get the job done away from home. And what that means for our Deal to Bakar group is that we are on top of it, 5 points clear of Shaun with only one game left for every team. That means that we have made our way through to the semi-finals, looking to win that competition for the 7th season in a row. But before we do get into the first leg of this tie against Brighton, a few more things to update you guys on. First off, we have made a few more sales since yesterday's episode. Two young Brazilians who weren't getting a lot of game time here at the club. The first was Riquelme Luiz. He has gone to OPE, had 3-star potential, needed a bit more potential than that, and he left in the final year of his contract, having made absolutely no appearances for the first team. Did have a decent year at Fitabiago on loan, 11 goals and 35 appearances, but he went on a free transfer, decided to just get rid of him while we could get him off the wage bill. And the other player who has left back to Brazil is Eduardo Jose. He was a player with a decent amount of potential, but was never really going to figure in the first team and wanted to leave, so we did sell him for £5,000 to OBE. He had one really good season at Lechner Reykjavik. That was the year that they pushed quite close to European qualification. Unfortunately, didn't quite back that up last season when they did get relegated he has gone to in fact BPB in Brazil for £5,000. Not the most amount of money, but another player who was in the last year of his contract. I believe his potential when he was at the club actually wasn't that high after that most recent spell at Lechner Reykjavik, so we let him go for £5,000. So a couple of young Brazilians who didn't quite meet the cut of what we wanted here at Völsungur have left us, but still no ins. We are waiting until we get knocked out of Europe before we look to improve the squad and just see potentially what areas do need that improvement. But going into these games, unfortunately, we do have some injury concerns. One of them is our first choice goalkeeper, and he is going to be out for both legs with a virus. That is Mikel Serafellini, so that is a blow to us, albeit didn't help us yesterday in some of the goals that we did concede against Basel, so it's a good chance for Ivkovic, our young Serbian goalkeeper, to get a little bit of game time in European football. The other injury at the moment is for our third choice right back in Milos Petrovic. He has some damaged knee cartilage out for 7 days to 3 weeks, but hopefully if we don't suffer any more injuries to our right backs, that one won't have too much impact on our squad for these upcoming games anyway. But we are down a first choice goalkeeper for these upcoming games. That does mean that Ivkovic, who did make the team of the year in the first division in Iceland last season for his work in the league games, is going to be starting his first games in Europe at the club. 2-star current ability, 3.5-star potential. Hopefully he can bring some of that form that he showed in the league last season into these games against Brighton. The only other change that we've actually made to the squad since we did play Brighton last time, apart from the suspension to Ian Carlo, that's something else to consider. Adri Garrido will be starting at right back, but our only other change from that team who did play in that Conference League final is that Fredrik Larsson starts at left wing over Sergio Cadena. But otherwise, it's exactly the same team, but hopefully we can pick up a better result, get a little bit of revenge on these guys for that Conference League final, albeit would be a little bit frustrating in a way if we won this one, considering that we didn't win against them when there was a nice European trophy up for grabs at the end of last season. But that is all the admin out of the way. We'll come back shortly for the first leg from the Laugardarsvilla for the Seagull Derby in the second knockout round of the Europa League. And here is the TV coverage and team sheets for this one. There is our team as we ran through before in a decent little patch of form coming into this one. Hopefully that holds us in good stead, because Brighton at the moment in the Premier League are a little bit up and down, but their squad quite similar to that one that beat us in the Conference League final. Hopefully we can get some revenge and at least a decent result to take back to England for the second leg. And we do have the first highlight of this game, a throw-in inside the first minute, and Fredrik Larsson, the one change to the actual starting 11 from the team that played that final, tries to play a ball up there for Benjamin Rubio, but his shot does go wide and it remains 0-0 early in this first leg. And just that one highlight in the first half of this one in our favour. It does remain 0-0, albeit looking at the stats, you'd be surprised at what's happened since that first highlight, because Brighton, all the play has been in their favour since that first highlight in the opening minutes. So not really happy with how this is going yet again, and we are going to make one change at half-time. Patrick Nygard on a 6.3 rating. So what we are going to do is bring Pat Ainscough, the young American winger, on for him, and hopefully we can show a bit more here in this first leg at home. Otherwise it's going to be a bit tough for us getting a result away from home in the second leg. And up to the 69-minute mark, still no highlights since the opening minute of this game. Not really ideal for creating content, truth be told, but Benjamin Rubio's out there on a 6.3, so we will bring Moussi Martins on for him. He's just struggled at the start of this season, has Benjamin Rubio, but 20 minutes left now on a higher tempo. It does remain 0-0. And right off the back of that substitution, it is a goal kick here to Brighton. Finally, we have our second highlight of this game, and do look to play out from the back. You will notice among a few players on yellow cards is Alejandro Mazer. I do believe that means he will be suspended for the second leg, so that's already a little bit of a blow for us going into that away leg back in England. But Fredrik Larsson tries to get something going there down the left-hand side. They do hit it back, but only to Arneson, so we get possession back, and Adri Garrido makes his way down the right, picks out Pat Ainscough back to Garrido. And can we create something out of almost nowhere like we did in the first leg yesterday against Basel before that tie evened up throughout the rest of the game? Nicolusi Caviglia plays it back to Galtas on Moussi. Nice ball there for Fredrik Larsson. Chips the goalkeeper, finds the bottom right corner. And the one player who is new to the starting 11 from our final last year has scored the goal. Should we have got him back sooner so he could have played in those Conference League knockouts? That is going to haunt me, but he has opened the scoring. 1-0 Völsungur, a nice pass there and assist from Mulsi Martins off the bench. And we are a goal up here late in the first leg. And with 15 minutes to go, we're going to make our last substitution. Mbiyamba has picked up a yellow card, which I think also means he might be suspended for the second leg, but I do not like having a centre-back on a yellow card, so we'll make that change for the last quarter of an hour of this game. We've got Mikel Bedrzicki on the bench, so he will come on for Mbiyamba, but we're 1-0 up with 15 minutes remaining. And into injury time of this game, there have been very few highlights, touch wood, but we do not mind that because at the moment we hold a 1-0 lead over Brighton. XG very similar, and despite having less shots, less on target, all of the highlights were in our favour, and we pick up a 1-0 win at home, getting a little bit of revenge over Brighton for that Conference League final last season, albeit we do need to back it up and hold on to that result if we want to make our way through to the quarterfinals of this Europa League. But that was a far better performance than that first tie against Basel, despite it still not being at our free-flowing best here, but good performance from Ivkovic in goal, which is encouraging. We will have a few suspensions for the second leg, but we do have a lead, and that is what matters, and we'll come back shortly with a bit of a changed lineup because of those suspensions and see what we can do in the away leg in England. And here are the team sheets for the second leg. First up, Brighton in a really average patch of form. Hopefully we can keep that going, but here is what our team looks like. Ian Carlo is back at right back, but we have had to change a little bit of the defence. Mbiyamba and Meza suspended. That means Chatzakis at left back and Afosu at centre back, but we've got a 1-0 lead to try and hold on to here at the Amex in Brighton. 18 minutes gone. First highlight of this one is in favour of Brighton, albeit good header one there by Corbo. We do look to play our way out from the back. Larson tries to pick out Rubio, but Doyle does tidy things up there for Brighton. They pump it deep. It's really poor that from Corbo. Avando gets a great chance, and that is so soft there from our reigning player of the season. Did not even put up a challenge. Completely misjudged that long ball from Zach Steffen, and he will get an assist. And we do end up being drawn level here fairly early on in the away leg. It's a terrible mistake that from Gabriel Corbo. 1-1 after 19 minutes of the second leg. Keeping a little bit of an eye out here on the bottom left corner because we have had the draw for the quarterfinal and semi-final in between those two legs. And we are taking on the winner of the tie between Sevilla and Chelsea. And I do think early on that Sevilla have drawn level with Chelsea on aggregate in that one, but it's now time for us to fully focus on this now that Brighton have drawn level, and they have another highlight here in their favour at the 22-minute mark. Basuma just holding the ball up, plays it up to the goal scorer Vando Ferreira, given a lot of space, but that's a decent save there from Ivkovic at his near post. We'll just wait and see if anything comes from the subsequent corner that Brighton do have here at the 23-minute mark. They play that near post, and it does come off the upright. Thankfully, we do clear that away. 1-0 Brighton, 1-1 on aggregate, just about halfway through the first half of the second leg. 28 minutes gone, and we do have a free kick. Just changed some things set piece-wise because more recently teams have been trying to attack us from the far post at corners, but Brighton look like they're going for the near post. Just changed a few things up there to try and nullify that from set piece, but we are still on the attack here, holding the ball. Rubio, poor pass to Ferreira, and Brighton have a chance here on the counter-attack. Basuma just holds the ball up, plays that back to Ampadu, over to Ewerton, plays the ball in behind. Great chance here for Andrea Bellotti. Luckily though, Ivkovic just covers the goal enough so he puts it wide, and it does remain locked up on aggregate half an hour through the second leg. That's a decent clearance there from Ivkovic. Finds Larson, just tries to get in behind the defence. It's a bit of a poor touch from both players there, and we do retain possession. Frederick Larson tries to put a ball in there for Benjamin Rubio. It's clear, and it's Avando who looks to get something going here on the counter-attack yet again for Brighton. So far in this one, all the highlights are in their favour, and Casado plays that over for Lee, the South Korean, down the left-hand side. Good interception that, though, from Patrick Nygard. Can we get something going and get another chance off in this game? Our first real chance of the second leg Rubio plays it out for Nygard. What can he do? Lovely ball that for Fredrik Larsson, and he tucks it away in the bottom left corner, just waiting to see if the referee's flag is up, and indeed it is not. That is a massive goal at the half-hour mark, and yet again, after being on the back foot for most of this game so far, we do go 1-0 up. Some good link-up play that between our front three and Fredrik Larsson. It's a wonderfully timed ball that from Patrick Nygard. Simple finish. We are back in front on aggregate a half hour through the second leg. 43 minutes gone. It's a late highlight here in the first half to Brighton. A free kick inside the final third, and Ovando gets his head on the end of that. Luckily, goes into the side netting. We do have yellow cards at the back now to Corbo and Carlo, but it does look like we are going into half-time still with that 1-goal advantage, with it being locked up here 1-1 in the second leg. Fairly happy with how things are going, considering we're still being outplayed fairly comfortably in this one, despite our XG matching Brighton's, despite our lower amount of shots and shots on target, less possession, but we are doing enough with that possession to keep ourselves in front. I will make one change here at halftime. Ian Carlo, 6.4 yellow card. I think we might just bring someone on, not on a yellow card in defence. Adri Garrido, who did a decent job in that first league, can come on for him, but still fairly happy with how this is going. 2-1 up over Brighton with 45 minutes left of the second knockout round tie in the Europa League. And up to the 53-minute mark, I think it's time for us to make a few more substitutions, our last couple inside the 90 minutes anyway. Hopefully, that will be all that we need. But Afosu's just picked up a yellow card at the back on a 6.4 rating, and the goal scorer, Fredrik Larsson, is down to a red heart as well. So I think what we're going to do here is take those two players off. That does mean that Mikel Bedrzicki gets some more minutes off the bench for Samuel Afosu, of course, with Mbiyama being suspended, and also Chaka Traore will come on for Fredrik Larsson. That's all our subs used. Hopefully it's enough to hold on to this lead for the remaining 40 or so minutes. And we've gone forward all the way to the 76-minute mark for our first highlight of the second half, as we do look to play out from the back. We are only 14 minutes away from making our way through to the quarterfinals of the Europa League and getting some proper revenge on Brighton after they beat us in that Conference League final last season. That's a nice ball over the top there for Chaka Traore. Will he square it? Tries to take it on, but it's a god-awful chip. Goes well over the bar, and it does remain in our favour on aggregate with 12 minutes left, albeit we are back down the other end now for a potential highlight here in Brighton's favour. Ferreira picks out Rodrigo. It's a tight angle for him to get anything going. Back for Ferreira, and he hits the post. Great chance there for them to equalise on aggregate, and not too long off the back of that, it is Brighton playing out from the back again as they try and get something going here inside the last 10 minutes. But luckily, that ball gets flicked back to Ivkovic, and hopefully we can build something here ourselves to try and wrap this tie up on aggregate. Still 1 goal up inside these last 10 minutes, and we play out from the back. Arnason back to Galtason. He plays the ball forward there for Rubio. It's a nice pass that for Patrick Nygard. What can he do? Tight angle. Can he link up with a teammate? It's Galtason with a low driven shot, but it does come off the post, and it does remain 1 goal in our favour with only 8 minutes left. And inside the last few minutes of regular time of this one, we have got 4 minutes of added time. No time wasting. Don't want to tempt fate or anything with that, but we do here have a corner for Brighton. They put this into the mixer. Callum Doyle equalises inside injury time, and it's 2-1 on the day to Brighton, 2-2 on aggregate, and they've given themselves a chance to take this game to extra time, and that is gutting. We were doing so well from the half-hour mark to hold on to that lead. There were a number of bodies there who could have dealt with that. In the end, no one does, and indeed, we are yet again going to extra time thanks to that injury time goal from the set piece to Callum Doyle. In terms of the stats, it was a very even game over the 90 minutes. Brighton slightly edging things as you would expect with more shots and shots on target. It does mean that we do have one more substitution that we are able to make, and Stamatis Chatzakis is really struggling out there on a 6.2, so Sigurd Bjornsson can come on for him. That will be our last substitution. Hopefully we can get a winning goal here inside extra time and make sure this game doesn't go to penalties. And only a few minutes after the restart, we are on the attack here, but Chaka Traore's pass is intercepted there, and Brighton look to get something going here on the counter-attack, playing out from the back. Callum Doyle, what a crucial goal that might be in this tie right in injury time to get them level here with only a few more minutes left, and it is now in extra time, and Brighton do hold on to the ball after we gave it away and try and get something going here down this right-hand side. Of course, we played extra time against Basel. It's a lovely ball that from Ferreira, and Andrea Bellotti pops up with a goal. I think that's the first time he's actually scored against us, because in the final it was Zolis who scored most of the goals for Brighton. We will go to a positive mindset. The balanced has worked pretty well so far, but Brighton, either side of full time, have really grabbed the ascendancy in this tie, and they are now a goal up early in extra time. 103 minutes gone, not too long before half time here in extra time, and we do get the ball back and try and get something going here down this right hand side. Nygard on the ball, plays one over there for Adri Garrido in behind. Can he square this for a teammate? It's a tight angle. Chaka plays it in for Arneson. He gets it into the top left corner, and we get this back to all square right before half time here in extra time, and we still have a chance to try and win this game before it does go to penalties, and at least now we can take it to penalties after falling behind early in extra time. Garrido, nice in behind there, the defence. Nice ball there to Chaka. Heads it down for Arneson. It's a really nice finish. Nothing the goalkeeper can do about that one. And it does look like we should be going into half-time with an advantage. It's a free kick there to Brighton, but Corbo does deal with it. We'll just wait and see what happens from the subsequent bit of play. Rodrigo tries to square that, and thankfully Bellotti hits that straight at Ivkovic, and it is still locked up here at half-time of extra time.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes into the second half of extra time, Chaka Traore has picked up an injury, and we don't have any more substitutions, so we are down to 10 men for the last 10 minutes here of extra time. Hopefully we can at least take this to penalties, but that is a big disadvantage. And inside the last minute of extra time in this one, no highlights in the second half, just that injury to Chaka Traore, and this does go to penalties. Not too sure how good Traore actually was from penalties. That could end up being quite a significant injury, but I'll sort out this penalty order, get my voice a little bit lubricated a bit more because I'm running out of water, and we'll come back and have a look at this penalty shootout, hopefully get revenge on Brighton and make our way through to the quarterfinals of the Europa League. And here we are with the penalty shootout. We have just gone with the exact order that was on screen before, what our assistant manager recommended by penalty taking. First up is Benjamin Rubio. He has a shocker. He has been awful to start this season, which is such a shame after last season, and already we are at a disadvantage, and Bellotti hammers it home, putting away Brighton's first penalty, and we are 1-0 down early. That is not what we needed away from home from our best penalty taker, albeit he is struggling for form. Thankfully, Caviglia tucks our second one away in the bottom left corner, and now we do need a save from young Ivkovic. Big things being asked of him here, but we need something from him. But Avando sends him the wrong way there, and it is 2-1 Brighton after 2 penalties each. And next up for us is Patrick Nygard. Of course, last season he missed a penalty in the playoff against Young Boys for the Champions League. He will look for some sort of redemption here, and thankfully he tucks it away in the bottom left corner, and it is 2-2, but Brighton do have a penalty in hand here, and it is to Rodrigo. Ivkovic goes the right way but can't get to it, and Brighton looking very convincing so far from the penalty spot. Next up for us is our centre-back, Gabriel Corbo, very good at free kicks. Hopefully the same from the penalty spot, and that's a really well-taken penalty, sends Stefan the wrong way into the bottom left corner, and it is back all square, but still Brighton do have one in hand. Moda Ivkovic goes the right way, but far too much power on that, and we need to score this, otherwise we are out of the Europa League in the second knockout round. Losing to Brighton, there's no real shame in that in this save universe, but boy would I like some revenge, especially after conceding a late goal there to make this game go to extra time. It is Bedrzicki off the bench. That is a wonderful penalty. Virgil van Dijk like that into the top left corner, and it does mean now that Brighton need to score this penalty, otherwise the shootout will continue. It is Lanez for Brighton. Not too sure about this player, how good he is exactly, but he has the task to try and send Brighton through to the quarterfinals of the Europa League. Ivkovic goes the right way, but can't lay a hand on it. And after having this game nearly wrapped up before injury time, we had a 1-goal advantage, but they got a goal inside injury time from a corner, a goal each in extra time. In the end, we do go out to Brighton on penalties. That late goal to Callum Doyle from set piece is what proves oh so costly there, as well as Benjamin Rubio, who's really struggling at the start of this season. That missed penalty also proving very costly. It was a lot closer than the Conference League final last season, but yet again, we do fall to Brighton, albeit on penalties, and that does our European season for 2027-28 going out in the second knockout round of the Europa League. And back in the inbox after losing in the second knockout round of the Europa League on penalties to Brighton, who also defeated us, of course, in the Conference League final last year. So they certainly have the wood over us in the Seagull Derby at the moment. It's fair to say they are the shittiest of the two teams. I suppose that's what Seagulls are most famous for, aren't they, doing their business on people? So yeah, that's awesome. They can have that title, I suppose, but disappointing to lose that, especially that late goal to Callum Doyle. That is going to give me a few nightmares, because if we got past those guys, we would have actually taken on Sevilla in the quarterfinals of the Europa League. They did get past Chelsea, so that was a bit of an upset result in the other part of the draw that we were keeping an eye out on as well. But in the end, it does not matter. Benjamin Rubio also not very good there, missing a penalty, going straight down the middle with our first penalty, and the goalkeeper just had to sit there and trap it with his foot. So not great from Benjamin Rubio. Hopefully he returns to the form of last season. Sooner rather than later, we get $1 million for making it to the second knockout round. Chaka Traore went off the field with a tight calf, you soft cock. Yeah, not happy with that. Orange injury, and he could not continue. That is not what you really need in knockout football in Europe. So not too happy with you, Chaka, but that's okay. What this does allow us now is we actually have some time to have a look at players who we can try and get to improve the team with, at least off camera anyway. I'll have a look at that, and we should, by the start of tomorrow's episode, actually have some incomings for this transfer window, albeit we might go forward quite a bit and jump forward, hopefully, to the end of season review, because in between now and then, all we've really got is the end of the deal to Bakar, which the board don't care about, so I don't really expect you guys to care about that either in the start of the domestic season, and usually we start that off pretty well. Hopefully we can do the same again and make our way to a strong position prior to Champions League qualifying. Hopefully we've still done enough to make sure that this is the last season coming up, which we will enter Champions League qualifying in the first qualifying round. But that will do it for today's episode. A frustrating result yet again against Brighton, missing out on penalties after being in front up until injury time of that second leg. As I said, we'll try and come back tomorrow around about the end of May and do our end of season European review, have a look at the coefficient, all that stuff, and we'll also show a league game against HK. Hopefully by then we would have wrapped up a deal to Bakar as well. We're taking on Breda Blick in the semi-final. That is quite a juicy matchup. The other matchup in the deal to Bakar is between HK and Akranes, so there's three pretty good teams in there. Akranes not too bad themselves these days, but hopefully we can win that for the 7th season in a row, and we'll have that next to our names as well as the Super Cup by the time we come back for tomorrow's episode. But that is the plan, to come back for that game against HK, albeit that's 2 months and a few transfers in between now and then I have to get through, so I'll try my best to get up until then. If I don't, I'll probably come back a little bit earlier if I absolutely have to, but the idea is to come back for that HK game and the European roundup, and then we will finish the week with the first qualifying round of the Champions League. Yet again, get straight back into the swing of things European wise, because domestically we have been quite dominant ever since joining Völsungur in the save. But if you did enjoy today's episode, missing out on the quarterfinals of the Europa League thanks to penalties against Brighton, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying this series here on the channel, also remember to hit that subscribe button and turn that notification bell on as well. And until tomorrow, hopefully I'll get through enough to get up to that HK game and do our European roundup. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.